Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Welcome to the show. So, this is our first real episode of Mythical Writer, Mystical Themes. Just want to say hello to everybody. We've got friends, acquaintances, strangers. Welcome to the channel. As the About section has described, this channel will be a forum for discussions on ideas and concepts that explore the depths of consciousness, the nature of the divine, and the connection between people and the world. The plan is to have a live connection where we can share our stories and experiences, and you can just talk. If you don't want to be on camera, you can hide your camera. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can send us an email and we'll read your stories and experiences ourselves so you don't have to. As this is basically going to be an open forum, I ask that you follow the rules. Be kind. If you can't be nice, don't speak or just leave. Not everybody's into this. This is a positive place and a safe place. You do not have to agree with the stories, but you do have to be civil. We all have our own beliefs, and we do not have to agree on what all of us believe in. So to get started, what we'd like to do is the first show, we're kind of going to be telling our own stories and letting some things out about the ghosts and things. And then the next time we get together, next Tuesday, we'll have it set up for an open forum. So you can come up and tell your stories. And like I said, if you'd rather not, you can email us and we'll read it out for you. And then we're going to have some people come up. And we do have a couple of people who have already said they would like to be a part of it. So they'll come up and tell their stories. But to get started, Frog, you have some ghosty stories.
Yes, I do. But I was going to talk about uh, what it's been like to, I done lost comment. Tag, you're it.
I got it.
I wanted to talk about why I've had so many ghost experiences, and I've had ghost experiences my whole life, ever since I was little. Uh, I've said before in another on T-Bone's channel that we used to play in a graveyard when I was growing up. We play hide and seek in there at night and wait for the ice cream man to come. He come about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and ever since then, I've I knew I had something going on about being able to know when there's something there that nobody else can see. Uh, they're not afraid to talk to me. But here, actually, they talk to Lori more than it. I hear that they'll talk to me, but when we get the ghost equipment out here, they'll talk to Lolly more than me. So, but I've had these experiences my whole life, and some people call it a gift, and it's not really a gift because some of these you don't want to know they're there because most people don't know they're there. And there's been plenty of places that I've been to that I'm like, man, I don't even want to go in here because I know there's something bad in here. And because there is something bad in there, and I can feel it. They know to come at me, mess with me. So, some people believe in that kind of stuff. Some people don't. But maybe some of my stories will change your mind. I don't know. But all right, let's see. Let's start off with the first ghost story. Like I said on T-Bone show, there used to be a lady that hated kids on the block that I grew up on when I was real little, elementary school. Excuse me. And she used to come in my dreams all the time. And then I told my mom about this dream I kept having, and I kept seeing her everywhere, like especially when I was alone in the bathroom for some reason. I would see she would pop up, and I would see a black silhouette of a lady in what was called morning dress. Back then, it was all black with the black veil. And she was always messing with me. She messed with me more than anybody anybody else has. Maybe not physically bad, but mentally she was always on me. But the one night I I seen her right before we went to bed, and I was telling my sister about it. And my sister had a bed here, and my grandpa had taken and built a frame because we had the same. There was only one bedroom. He built a frame so there'd be a little wall between me and her. It was just an old piece of paneling, you know, framed up that was on wheels. You could move it out of the way. But I seen her and I was like, that was really strange that she popped up right now. And we went to bed. We was Mom said we was asleep like 3 hours, and both of us woke up. Me and my sister woke up, and our sheets and blankets was off of us. They was on the floor over by the door, which was probably 7 feet away in a pile. Not like we kicked them off and they went to the end of the bed. So we woke our mom up, and she come in, talked to us, and said it was all right. Everything was good. She got us calmed down because we knew it was a ghost. She'd done stuff to us like this before. And after that, we went back to sleep and wasn't asleep an hour, and we heard a gun go off, a literal boom. Now, my grandparents lived on one side of us, and this old guy lived on the other side of us. The side okay, our beds were right at a window. So she got a little light and I got a little light. We literally split it in half with the silly retaining wall. And we went to sleep. We heard a gun go off and our window shattered. Well, my mother thought that somebody had shot into the house. My grandfather running over in his whitey tighty boxer shorts with his gun because he knew that somebody had pulled the trigger on a gun and, shot. The whole neighborhood heard it. Well, when I didn't think nothing about it, we were scared to death and we went over to my grandmother's. But when we came back, the police were still there. And the police was saying, this is crazy because all the glass from the window and the storm window was on the outside. And there was no shells, pellets, or anything in the neighbor's house, which is only 4 feet away. I mean, he literally, his front porch was 4 feet away from our house out our window. And I just couldn't understand it because everybody in the neighborhood reported hearing a shotgun. They swore it was a shotgun. That's what my grandfather has a shooting match named after him. That's how I lost my hearing at a gun range when I was real little. Uh, so everybody knew what a shotgun sounded like. And that was one of the most freakiest things because I know it was her. And when you know they're around, you know who's there. And in my mind, I could hear her laughing at us later, you know, like like later in the day after we had calmed down and come back because we came back when the police was still there to get dressed, get clothes to go to school. We had to walk to school. So, we had to get clothes, go back over to grandma's, and get ready for school. And, I could just, that afternoon, we was sitting there and the guy was putting the board up over the window. And, I think it was one of my cousins. I'm not even sure. And, I could just see her face just laughing and laughing and laughing. Well, that night, mom woke up screaming. We went to bed. Mom woke up screaming. There was 4 bats in her bedroom. And how these 4 bats got into this house, we have no idea. And then Grandpa came over with his fishing net, caught 3 of them, got 3 of them because they wouldn't sit still. They just kept flying around. And he ended up shooting one with a 410, or not a 410, but a 22 buckshot rodent shot. It's a 22 bullet with just like 25 pellets in it. It doesn't really, it's to kill mice and rats. And, that's how they used to do it back in the olden days. So that's how they killed this bat. We get rid of it. So we decided we're going to sleep in the same bed. And I'm like, Mom, she's not done yet. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, every time something happens, she keeps showing up laughing. I said, it's her. It's her. And then I got the feeling, I said, there's something going to happen with a spider. She was laughing about a spider. Well, we go to bed. Me and my sister are asleep. Apparently, my mother wasn't. But she jumped up screaming, pushed us off the bed, and there was a spider about this big crawling on our bed. As a kindergartner, I was like, ah! I mean, that's how young I was. I was in kindergarten then. And it was just mind blowing, some of the stuff that happened to us in this little greenhouse for years, uh, just from her, let alone some of my cemetery stories. So that's just one. That I consider, when it happens in a 48-hour time, it's pretty much, I call it the same event. It's just a cycle because, like I said, I know when they're there and I know when they're screwing with me, and so they never left. So it's one constant. I'm going to get you feel bad.
You ready to
That's
switch
just,
off?
yeah. I had no idea where you're at in the comment. I can't see. You're down at Quick Shoe.
Evil Rick. And hello,
Okay,
everybody
I
that's
got
come
you.
in. It's been great to see everybody. We appreciate the support very much. And um, so I don't know how many have heard my story about my gem globe, um, but Twisted Heart, she can attest to it because she was with me when we got it. So any questions you can ask her. But one of the things that I didn't realize until I really started getting into the gems and rocks and things was that there's something about them that will call to you when you need it. And I went with Twisted Heart to a gem store and we were looking around and I found this this little globe here. It's got copper in it. And I picked it up and I said, I want this. Well, then it was a little expensive. So I said, no, I think I'm going to wait. And I ended up getting a smaller one that was similar to it. Well, after about a week, it It wasn't what I needed. It wasn't what I wanted. And this was still apparently calling out to me and saying, come get me. So we went back and I got it. Well, once I had it in my hands, it literally made me giddy. I mean, it was like I was not drunk, but tipsy. It just made me giddy and happy. And you can see she says she hates it. A lot of people do, but it was good for me. It was what I needed at the time. So when we first moved in here, the negativity in the home was very thick. And a lot of people would come up to the door and we'd be talking and something, and somebody would just say something about it being dark. It was just dark. The house, you had a heavy feeling on your heart. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but it was very difficult. Well, there were black masses that we seen in the corners and in different places. And at one point, Frog was in his room doing some stuff. Well, thank you for coming, Quick Shoe. I appreciate it. Um, and he was having problems with this black mass. And this did me really well. And usually if something's going on, I'll give him an amethyst or to hold on to. It's just supposed to be a calming and protective stone. But I gave him this. And this spiral that you see here, when he looked at it, it took him down like into a tunnel. And then at the very end, he seen a demon. And it was that black mass that was showing himself. He threw the globe across the room. And when he did, it threw him, the mass that was there threw him against the wall and had him so shook up, he grabbed his Bible and left. He ended up leaving the house and would not come back. He stopped by the Catholic church. He got a big quart of holy water before he would come back home. And he swore up and down that it was my ball. I brought evil into the house. And I said, no, I would never. To me, it's not evil. It's what gives me joy. And it was the mass that was using it to show him who he was. But you get feelings when you have certain gemstones. It just, like I said, they just call to you, and that one called to me. You want to expand on that story? You got to unmute. I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that.
There you go. It is a conduit, Twisted. Sorry, my son won't touch it. When my youngest son comes over, he has a sixth sense, and he experiences things, and he won't get close to it. He's like, no, because if he touches it, it pulls the energy out of him and puts it into the ball. Whereas when I touch it, it gives me energy. So some things are meant for people. Some things are not meant for everybody. Evil brings you joy. Well, it doesn't bring me joy, but it's an interesting aspect to the way some of the things work in our lives and the conduits that we have. Go ahead, Frog. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. There's a backstory to this dark entity. Okay. My ex-wife was not faithful, blatantly not faithful. But I knew that she wouldn't take care of our kids, and when you have that many kids living in one house, and you know somebody's not going to take care of them. Yeah, we had five here, and so I stayed. I actually stayed until my youngest daughter turned 18, and the day after she turned 18, I was like, I want a divorce. I'm leaving. You know, but I knew that she wouldn't take care of the kids. So I stayed here for the kids, which led to a lot of anger, animosity, and the dark spirit came from her ex-husband, who was the best way to describe this guy is he grew up with his mom being a stripper, and he had to defend her from men that came over and didn't pay or slapped her around. You know, this is out of Louisville, Kentucky. You know, she worked at a titty bar in Louisville, and that's not, you know, they're roughnecks, real roughnecks. So even in the seventh grade, you know, he was having to fight men, you know, to save his mom sometimes. She really, and his dad was in prison for, I can't remember what it is, robbery without a gun, threat of a gun, but he didn't have a gun. But still, he did like 15 years. And then, uh, allegedly, this man, Donnie, was coming home from the bar in town and somehow passed out on the railroad tracks and got cut in half. And after probably, well, nothing happened until his kids, my stepkids, went down there to the site and put a cross there for him. And I assumed that his spirit followed him here because after that, everybody, you know, including them, started seeing this black mass. And he would get aggressive. He would touch you, he'd pull your hair, he'd wake you up, he'd make noises, he'd scare the dogs. We had, I think we had three dogs in the house. We had one outside because he was psycho and couldn't stand being in the house. But he would mess with the dogs a whole lot. I had a cat, Mr. Garfield. He just passed away. Uh, he messed with him real bad. I guess he didn't like cats, and he Garfield would just be hissing at the air, and I'd be like, yeah, quit messing with him, you know. But anyway, after the kids came back, we started seeing this mass, and it got more energy and more energy and more energy. And I wasn't helping it because I was I had a lot of electronical things going. When you get a lot of electronical things going, they can feed off that. That's a lot of spirits will get energy from your phone, from your computer, your electricity, a light that's on. So, and that it, I was, I was feeding it basically, and our hatred for what was going on with her stepping out and going to bars and not coming home, and it just made it stronger and stronger. And he got to where he got real pushy. I mean, he would physically hit me in the chest, and that's basically what it was when the night I looked into that ball, and evil just, I call it evil, just straight up jumped out of that ball and slammed me in the chest. And and she's right, I went straight to my Bible And I started spitting verses out and reading it, and I tried to go outside for a while. You can ask her, I was shaking. I was shook.
He was
One
definitely
of the,
beside himself.
I mean, I wouldn't even stay here another minute. I was gone. And then the next day, I went to a friend's house, my best friend, Rodney Rottencrotch. Went to his house, told him about it, woke him up, told him about it. And he was like, damn, that's crazy. So we medicate, and I finally go to sleep. And then I go to the Christian church, the big Christian church in town there where I grew up, and I was like, how do I do this? So I told the secretary, what I needed. And she was like, what? I said, I need to talk to the pastor because I need some holy water. And I had two jars. I just didn't have one. I had two jars, two of the big mason jars that you do some serious canning with. I said, I need them full of holy water because I was attacked by an evil spirit. And she was kind of blowing it off, but there was a bunch of Mexican ladies that heard me, describe what happened. And they was like, he needs this. He needs to go. He cannot go home unless he has holy water. This is serious. And so she finally called the preacher down, the pastor down, and he was very skeptical too. But he listened to the Mexican ladies because the Mexican ladies was all over him. But they was like, he touched something that he shouldn't have touched, and it brought evil into him. And I mean, they had to talk to him for like 10 minutes before he finally agreed. And he was all like, well, are you a Christian? I was like, yeah, I am a Christian. I said, I don't go to church all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't have church. I have church myself, especially in the summertime. I go down to the creek, sit on a log. But I get the holy water and come back, and I believe Lolly had already done some cleansing and did a few things before I even got here. But she immediately went around and Holy Ghosted everything. It kept him at bay for a long time. I don't know. He may try to sneak in every now and again, but since she's been having to do so many cleansings, because I mean she gets touched. We all get touched. Uh, it's very common for her to say, "Would you say?" And I'll be like, "I didn't say nothing." No, she'll be back there in bed, and I'm still in the living room, and she's thinking I'm talking to her, and I ain't saying nothing. And she gets touched a lot in bed. She she mentioned before on T Bone's show, I believe that's when it was, that there's been days where all of a sudden she's just angry and snaps, but it usually doesn't last very long because she's like, hey, this ain't me. What the hell is this? Where'd this come from? You know? And then she'll start screaming, well, these effing ghosts need to freaking leave me alone. These are not my feelings.
Yeah,
Because
I
there
have
was a
to
couple of times that she just came out of nowhere, like, "Eh," and I was like, oh,
I have to tell them get away from me and leave me be, because sometimes it is hard to tell whether it's your emotions or something else. And then once you get um, to understand it a little bit, welcome purple. Sorry you had so much trouble getting in. Um, but sometimes it's hard to know. It's, 1 minute you're happy and the next minute you're sad. And it's like, I'm not bipolar. I know something's going on. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. These aren't my emotions. They're not my feelings. So it's it is hard to tell sometimes, but yeah, I'll get it's like an instant change, snap of the fingers, and you're just angry. And you have no idea why you're angry, but you are just angry. And it's like, all right, you're done. You need to leave. I'm not messing with you. Go away. But does anybody else had an experience like that? Or, um, and we've got lots of stories we can tell over the time. We don't want to tell them all on the first time on the first show. Um, all right, Kelfire, I'll look at it. Thank you. Some of the
Yes, yeah.
stories.
I asked her if she got her stuff.
Okay.
I said, she better have gotten her stuff.
Um, so some of the topics that we hope to talk about is all my stuff that just fell off of my bookshelf. They're getting.
Did it happen again?
Yep.
The same book.
Yep.
Oh, that's some bull right there.
Same one
There's
just fell
no
off.
way. There's no way that just happened. See what I mean, you all? If you saw the last show, that book fell. That same book fell. It's been sitting there forever. And now we're talking about them again, and the same book falls.
They haven't gotten it yet. So Twisted teaches own the ground you stand on. It helps you to run off spirits and entities. Your home is a sacred place and they can't stay. Right. And that's part of what we do when we sage the house.
Yeah.
You burn sage and you go through and you start in a back room and work towards the door and push them out the door. But yeah, it did. It fell on the other show too. Some of them are. Um, you have good spirits and bad spirits, just like everything else. You have good people and bad people, and their energies are. The energy is what I believe is what's left over. That's what you're dealing with is someone's energy. And then it's the my little pamphlets on some of the gemstones that I have twisted. And then Zeus just fell off. That was my Zeusy. He was my little devil incarnate chihuahua.
That, yeah, that dog was evil. She loved her, but didn't like anybody else. She was
No,
like, "Hey."
she loved Twisted. He didn't love me. He'd bite me.
And so you want to tell them about some of the other categories we're going to
Yeah.
be
Sorry.
showcasing?
I got
You'll be
sidetracked.
showcasing? That's all right.
There's we want to do a story on house spirits and brownies, the little fairies that go way back, and then tarot readings and cards and how they're used, gemstones and how they're used and their meanings, cleansing, how to cleanse your home when you have energies that are giving you some difficulty,
I would do it
crystals.
to any new home, any home that you live in. I would do it, especially a
Exactly.
new home.
And as you know, when the weather starts getting warmer, um, we're hoping to take care of part of that mythical rider part where we can get out and tell stories and do things while we're on the bike. We have, yes, my late husband was a jokester,
Oh, yeah,
and
he's been here.
um, Gotta get the comments, baby. He was,
It doesn't. It's not moving.
yeah, we're up
Having
on,
trouble.
okay. But he was a big jokester. And we think he's been here quite a bit messing with Frog and um, playing games. He gets stuff and hides it.
Uh, yeah, he's the one that hides my stuff.
And I was laying back in the bed one night and I was trying to go to sleep. And I felt Frog get in the bed and he put his arm around me. And I went to turn around and tell him I loved him. And he wasn't there. But there was something in the bed and there was somebody's arm around me. So I told him hello, told him I loved him and I missed him, and he needed to go on and be happy. So we'd see him every now and then. And my mother, she shows up. I haven't seen her, but Shane Frog has.
I've seen her. I've seen her about 5 times. And she's always got, this is how I see her. Her mom had hair, one of those 70s, 80s fro looking hair everywhere. Okay. So she sticks out like a sore thumb. But she's always standing there going like this. Because when we dated when we was teenagers, she actually called the police on me, called my parents, and her uncle came over with a gun and said, "We don't want you around her no more." So I was like, "Okay." But she didn't know anything about that. She just thought I just dumped her.
Oh, I found that out when I was right right when we got or after we got back together 37 years later.
It was an angel.
You're going back through them. I already got them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Just letting you know. But yeah, it was. It's interesting around here sometimes. You'll get. We've talked before about the creek out back. We have a large creek and caves, and a lot of times it's nearly dry because of the caves. But then when we get a lot of rain or, when the snow starts melting, those creeks will fill back up. But it seems like it's a portal. There's, yeah, she's still giving us hell. Um, and things we get images and shadows and things that come through the house. And I have, um, post. One of the things you do to cleanse your property is you can take like railroad post or the nails and put them in the four corners of your property. And you do other things with it too, but you have those put out there. But we have some that get through that are not so fun, and we have others that get through that just watch. They just look, or they'll stand like they're waiting for something or for somebody. So I guess we're just a meeting house on their road to wherever they're going.
Yeah,
But it may
it really is because the first spirit that anybody, even the kids, saw was there used to be an Amish man that would stand in the at the kitchen window and be looking at it, and you would get this feeling that he was waiting on somebody that never came back, and he never did anything except show himself. I even probably got a couple pictures of him somewhere here, or at least I used to, that show him standing at the kitchen window looking like this. And you always got that feeling that he was waiting on somebody that never came back. Uh, we've had the presence of military, old military. There was, as far as I know, there wasn't any battles fought here. But you get Indian stuff and you get military stuff, so it's hard telling how far back it goes. I know nothing happened during the Civil War here, other than the soldiers went through and through here. But yeah, we've had marching soldiers on the ceiling too. Hopefully, we can find that video again. That's a good one because you can clearly see them, their shadows marching one by one across the ceiling. I didn't say nothing to her. I just turned my phone on and set it on a dinner tray TV stand and just let it run until it stopped, until I didn't see it no more. And it was like 18 minutes long.
Yeah, unfortunately my computer crashed, and I've given them to our son to see if he can get all the files off of it. And he's gotten several off. He's still working on it. So I'm hoping that it's on there, that we'll be able to pull them up, because we do have a few pictures and a couple of videos and things. Um, I just have to be able to find them. So hopefully they weren't corrupted when the computer crashed. But you want me to put the link out and see if anybody wants to come up?
Nobody can when we're like this.
Yeah, they can.
Okay. I don't know. Like I told John in his video earlier, I'm technology challenged.
We got this, babe.
You got it. I ain't got shit. I'm
So if
just here to
anybody
look
wants to
pretty.
jump up, the links there in the chat. If you want to come up and share a story, or T-Bone, I know you have stories.
Yeah. We'll have to do a special on T-Bone like he did us. Because he said he could talk for hours too.
Yeah.
We'll just be jumping back and forth on each other's channels.
Oh,
Excuse me.
I know we had a story that was sent to our email, so let me pull the email up, and while we're waiting to see if anybody wants on. There you go. It says, my dad's friend lives in an old plantation house that was used as a hospital in the Battle of Five Forks in the Civil War, just south of Petersburg, Virginia. The house and property is haunted. She told me stories about how the faucets would come on when they walked into the bathroom. One example was one day Martha came home from work and was alone in the house. She placed her keys and mail on the corner of the dining room table. She walked into the other room, came back, and the keys and mail would be in the other room. We've had similar situations ourselves.
Yeah.
Her oldest son, Michael, when he was younger, would lay under the dining room table and talk on the phone. One time, he looked up and saw a pair of legs standing in the doorway. It was someone in orange pants and black boots. When he looked up to see if it was his mom, it was a bearded man, and just as soon as he saw him, he disappeared. Dad Mitchell was repairing the roof over the kitchen. Martha was washing dishes and heard a loud crash coming from the living room. When she went to see what it was, she found their two wooden elephant statues on the floor on one side of the fireplace, both with their heads broken off. They were positioned on both ends of the mantel. One ended up on the other side of the floor. Welcome, Greg. Within 30 minutes after this happened, Mitchell fell off the roof and broke his pelvic bone. While at a going away party at their house, this was my experience. It involved two ceramic comedy tragedy masks on a shelf. They seemed to fly straight out to the middle of the room and fall to the floor. During this party, a bishop of the Catholic Church that the homeowner belonged to witnessed four boys appear from behind the old tobacco shed at the back of the property. The boys looked badly hurt, bloody, and limping. The bishop attempted to speak to the boys, but as soon as they got close enough to make out, they disappeared in front of his eyes. These are just a few of the stories. That's pretty cool. I love hearing other people's stories to know that, we're not alone in the stories that we have, that everybody has experiences. So it kind of makes it interesting and fun. But, they do kind of tend to disappear when you notice them. Every now and then they'll stay and talk to you, but usually they don't show themselves as much when they're talking to you.
Yeah, most of the time. And a lot of that depends on their demeanor, you know. So like you said earlier, some just want to hang out, watch you, see what's going on here. Because, like, one of the things that happens here, I'll turn on my ghost tube, and within an hour's time, we might get 15 different names. And the only reason why you get 15 different names is there's a pathway here somewhere, whether it be the cave, under the house, or whatever. I know there's caves under here because when it rains real hard and the creek fills up, well, you can see where water comes up out of the ground all over just outside the backyard that I cut as a yard. The rest is woods, but you can go back there and watch the water come up out of the ground because the inside of the cave is full of water now.
Thanks,
So yeah,
America.
we do get a lot of I call them travelers. They're just traveling through. And
Angel, that's okay. You don't have to have stories to share. I'm glad you came to support us anyway. I
yep.
hope it's interesting for you to hear the stories. But yeah, there's a lot of pathways and different people. And, your kelp fire, you were talking about recording at their house. That would be really great. My son he used to do the cemeteries and do the ghost hunting when he was younger. And he had some equipment and brought it over. And
Yeah.
we were going through the house and we were asking questions, and it told Frog to F off straight up. You get this this big growl and this deep voice, and he was like, F you or F off, Frog.
Frog.
And then he said, shut up. So we're like, whoa, okay. And that was right before the mass happened with the ball.
Yeah.
So apparently we made it mad.
I was
But he's
always
gone
making it
now.
mad. When I'll sit in here and turn my stuff on and talk to him. I can either talk to me or I have another app that it'll show me pictures. And I probably sometimes get more aggressive than I should because I know better. But I do get aggressive with him and like, what's the matter with you? You a chicken? You scared to talk? Because I know they're here, but then when they ain't saying nothing, I'm like, I already know you're here, so why don't you say something?
Well, I'm not a bad girl, Angel. We just have them.
Yeah.
Bye, Purple. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and this kind of stuff hasn't just happened here. This is just I've lived in a few ghost houses that you'll learn about. Like there's one that the ghost was seen so much that people thought it was me in the attic at the White Castles. I lived real close to the White Castles, and we had a 3-story house, and you could see the White Castle parking lot, and you could see our house from the parking lot. And by the way, my own mother called the police on me for being too loud down there one night. It was funny when the cop said the complaint came from my house. I was like, "That's my mom and dad, and that's their bedroom window right there." But anyway, but a lot of the people that knew, that was my house, would ask me, "Why do you spend so much time up on the third floor?" I said, "I don't go in the attic. I don't go in the attic unless I got to take something up there because there's a kid, Mikey the ghost, is up there." I said, "He ain't bad, but he's mischievous as hell because, well, I'll save it for the whole story, but his parents had the house built, and during the house being built, he passed away on the property, and he was quite a little ass. And the reason why nobody ever stayed more than one night in that house besides us, nobody did."
We had a house my dad moved into, and it was just this little farmhouse, 2-story, but we weren't allowed upstairs. It was blocked off. And I'd come home from school, or we'd be driving down the road and look up, and there was somebody up in the upstairs window, just standing in the window looking out. And I'd go home and I'd say, "Dad, who was upstairs? I thought we weren't supposed to be up there." And he said, "Nobody's been up there." And then there's one spot in what was one of my sister's bedroom, that in the whole house there was only one place that was cold, and it was right there. And it was right downstairs from where the grandmother of the people that owned the house had passed away. She passed away in the upstairs room, in the same room where she's staring out the window, and downstairs was just ice cold every time you walked in. It was just this little spot that you'd walk through. You'd be fine here, but freeze here. So we always said that was her checking us out and making sure we were doing what we were supposed to.
Yep.
Yeah, the Bell Witch that's probably one of the things we'll talk about in a future video. We're going to look some stories up, and I know there's a lot of channels out there on ghosts and spirits and cryptids and everything, and the rabbit hole with John and T-Bone and Coy. But I was hoping that this would be a place that'll grow, and where people would want to get on and share and tell stories, or like I said, email the stories and we'll read them out. But there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of misinformation. So I hope that we can bring some entertaining stories to people, and also give them a way to vent or to express the experiences they've had.
Yep.
But we've got um, about 5 minutes. It'll be an hour. You want to shut it down at 9?
Yeah, we'll shut it down at 9.
I think Angel and Purple were talking about the weather.
Yep.
And hopefully Kelpfire send us some more stories that we can share. And Ray, have you had any experiences like you said, I know the Bell Witch story is there in Tennessee. Have you had anything that you've experienced with the hauntings and the woods and things of that stuff? Thanks, 2-4. Or does anybody else have other stories? Oh, Cal's supposed to get
Good.
6 to 12 inches of snow tonight. Thanks, Roland.
Are you
Oh, you're
getting them
fine,
or am I
Angel.
getting 'em?
You can get them. Thanks, Shadow. That'll be
Yeah,
great,
thank you,
Keltfire. If
Shadow.
you want to send them on the email, or you can get up and talk. You get up and talk fine on the camera. You ought to get up on stage with us.
Yeah,
But next week I'm gonna try
we'll
to
have to
get
get
something.
Tom to get her one of them special drinks today.
Yeah, that Tom makes her.
Yeah,
Yep. Get you a special drink, Kelt, and come on and see us. I have definitely have angels watching over me. Our whole family did, Quick Shoe. My grandmother had 7 kids, and her and my grandfather were from the hills of Kentucky, just over the holler from John. And she was a very devout Christian. And there were um, so many things that
dang,
could have
Evil Rick.
happened to our family and didn't. That all of her 7 kids stayed together and just did a wonderful, when you see so many big families have pain and have things, trauma that they go through, and that we didn't have to go through that, it was God sent and angels over us for sure. So Evil Rick says, okay, here's one for you. When I was maybe 12 or 13, my cousin and I were standing in the backyard at his house just talking when my shirt on the back of my left shoulder caught fire. No fires in the yard. Wow, Evil.
That's crazy, ain't it?
That is. Spontaneous combustion's not good.
Yeah. And see, read the rest of it last time.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I took the shirt off and threw it on the ground. I haven't looked for years, but I used to have a big scar on my back from it. That's really awesome. That's crazy
Yep.
that would happen. That's just, oh my gosh. I haven't had anything like that, thank God. And Ray, I can look like a wackadoodle. I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard. I
Yeah.
know what I've felt. So we can be wackadoodles together. Come on and share your story. That's what this is
Yeah.
for.
You don't even have to, like she said, send her an email. We don't have to say who the wackadoodles are.
Yeah, Keltfire said Evil's got a pyro ghost.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
That,
it. Thanks,
that kind of
Gloria.
stuff's happened before. I
It definitely
remember I remember years ago the like late night news had this lady. She had a rose on the windowsill and a glass, and it burnt the inside of the petals, but didn't burn none of the outside. It ashed the center of it for no reason, and but it didn't
it's,
burn the outside of the flower, just the inside petals. That was some
it's
crazy stuff.
amazing how they'll get your attention, or it's trying to figure out what they're saying to you is the hardest part, or what they need. Most of them are here because they need something, or
Yeah,
they,
they need to say something.
yeah, they need to be at peace and they can't be. So it's hard trying to figure out exactly what it is that they're needing.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys. It is 9:01. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the support. It is greatly appreciated. And hopefully
And
we'll
next week we're gonna talk a little bit about maybe why spirits are stuck here, and then I'll tell you another ghost story.
Yep.
So let's do that.
We'll be here next
I'm
week then.
sorry. Now go ahead.
Next Tuesday
And
at 8.
we appreciate everybody coming. I'm truly grateful to see everyone here.
Peace out, guys. Love you. Thank
Later,
you.
y'all.